Good morning, and a very warm welcome to you all out there. This is Safari Live, and we have come out in Djuma. My name is Steve Falconbridge. I'm joined by Seb Rombi on camera, and we heard some of the male Impala rutting, making their noise. The alarm calls, the rutting. We decided, let's just quickly check quarantine. We came straight around here. We got the little prince, Hosana, busy stalking two males. They were having a proper headbutting session. They managed to get away, but he's still very, very interested. The male Impala are very unaware of what's going on. They're more interested in the fighting and the testosterone than in actually protecting themselves against this male leopard. This is Hosana. He's about 2 years and about 3 months old. He is my favorite little prince. I wonder if you can hear the Impala in the background. They're still rutting. They're chasing each other around. We've heard them all night long in the dark. So should I say in the very full moonlight. The Impala have been gurgling and roaring all night. It is 18 degrees Celsius, 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and please send through your comments and questions to hashtag Safari Live. We are not going anywhere. He is very hungry, and he is showing us some beautiful shots of himself in this morning sunrise. Two male Impala were having a proper fight, and then one yes Shamsun, great start. We were about 30 seconds out of camp when we were watching the male Impala. They were fighting, looking off to the left, and they properly continued fighting, and then Hosana came stalking in from the left, and the two male Impala got really into a proper boxing match. A young male Impala saw Hosana, and then they all bolted off into the distance, but they haven't gone very far. There's a number of female Impala off to our left, back towards where we just came out of camp, and they were looking a little bit skittish this morning, and we thought maybe it was the incessant gurgling this morning of Hosana, of the rutting that happened last night. Unbelievable. We are joined in the sighting by two Voyatella vehicles. It just goes to show how important it is to check the roads very close to camp before getting too far. We are joined this morning by James Hendry in vehicle, and Brent Leo Smith. He'll be on a bushwalk, and Seb and myself are probably not going to be going more than 1 kilometer from camp with the little chief. There is the beautiful cat. Well, we're going to stay here, and then if anything happens, we'll come straight back. But in the meantime, let's say good morning to James Hendry.
Good morning, everybody. It's a glorious golden morning here in the low veld of South Africa. My name is James Hendry. There we go. Liam is on camera. There he is with his unusually large thumb. David is riding shotgun, and we are on the trail, I hope, of of Tandy and Tlalamba. I am resentful of Steve this morning, deeply so, because I turned left out of camp hoping to find Hosana. He turned right and found Hosana immediately, and so now I don't like him anymore. Please continue to send your questions. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Otherwise, you can use a chat stream on YouTube. This is the area that we walked in yesterday afternoon. That's the time when the sun goes down. Yes, yesterday afternoon, Rexon, David and I wandered around here and did our best to find the kitty cat Thandi, but unfortunately we did not find her. We did find her tracks and those of Tlalamba, so they've moved a long way west from where the kill was, and I think they're around here somewhere. But it's such a pretty morning that I'm sure we shall find lots of other things to entertain us if we don't manage to find the leopard. For example, Vim, behold the moon. See how I've placed it next to that tree for you? Yes, well done. Vim, I didn't hear you say thank you for being so artistic with the tree.
I'm just wondering why the moon's upside down.
Oh, you're wondering why it's upside down. Well, Vim, I think you'll probably find it's because it's morning time, and so everything seems slightly upside down. In this crazy topsy-turvy world of ours. Alright, apparently our chat is not nearly as entertaining as Hosana stalking Impala.
Yeah, well, that is a very open area, and he was slinking through the grass just moments ago. It's amazing how invisible he really is. I mean, when Seb and I got here, we hadn't seen him until he slunk across the road. But the male Impala are all around. They're making their noises, and he's going to try and sneak up on some that are not paying attention. This is the time of year when the males get so busy that lots of them fall prey to leopard and lion alike, because they are completely preoccupied with the rutting. There we go. There's one of them. It's a very interesting time of year. I mean, the noises that are coming from this area as the Impala are rutting all night are phenomenal. Dave, yeah, I mean, I think Hosana's definitely got the potential to kill a big male Impala. I haven't myself seen him with a big Impala. Have you, Seb, seen him with a male Impala, large one?
No, but he did kill one a few months ago.
Okay, so Seb tells me that he's definitely killed one. I don't think there's too much difference between a rutting Impala and a normal Impala. He's probably easier to catch now than he is when he's not rutting. I mean, the two guys were fighting 5-6 meters from him, and they had no idea he was there. They were completely consumed with with the challenger, and as soon as they look off to the right to sort of see whatever danger there is, the other individual launches an attack. So they're more worried about being speared in the ribcage by the challenger. But this is the time of year when the male Impala do fall prey to leopards, because they are completely oblivious to anything other than the testosterones and the estrus females. The stronger ones will survive and perpetuate, as is the case with natural selection. The strongest move forward. As the case of survival of the fittest is not only the fittest, but the fittest has to successfully breed. So all the female Impala are going to be in estrus within the full moon of 2 nights ago and the next one. And this insane display of Impala aggression in these open areas is going to continue until well after all the females are pregnant. So he just has to be patient. A big male Impala will take him a few days of eating. And wouldn't that be marvelous if right here outside camp he gets a male Impala and hoists it up one of these big marula trees? Well, it seems like Brent is out on foot, and let's go and have a look what his plans are.
Good morning, and welcome to a beautiful but still quite chilly morning here in the Sabi Sands Game Reserve, South Africa. My name is Brent Smith. I have Dangerous Dave, the dimpled dish, on camera with me today, and we are going to help James. We're going to look for any sign of little Tlalamba and her beloved mother, Tandy. So the last fresh tracks were in this area behind me to the east last night, so we're hoping that we'll find some more fresh tracks from this morning. And who knows, maybe she's sitting on a dike or a steenbok, feasting away, and we're going to be able to find them. So far, no tracks, and like James, I'm a little bit annoyed with Hosana, because we were originally going to go walk to find Hosana, and what happened, Steve drove out in the direction we started walking, and he was there. Anyway, well, we'll have to just find some more leopards, and who knows, maybe some wild dogs. Anything is possible, and I do love this beginning part of winter. Yeah, he says, good morning, Quizmaster, good morning, here. I hope you have been studying since the last drive, just in case we decide to start quizzing again. But, yeah, so for now, We're going to see if we can find some fresh tracks. There's been a plethora of creatures on the road overnight. There's a Franklin alarm calling, but again, we don't trust Franklin alarm calls. They just make a lot of noise. I'm just trying to see, is that James Hendry? Let us spy on James while he doesn't know he's being watched. So the Franklin was running away from James. There he is. Through the bush there, James and David and Viam. You can hear him talking absolute nonsense from here. But he doesn't know we're watching him yet. Is this the opportunity to jump out of the bush at James yet again? Let's quickly, David. Quickly, David. David, your aerial's going to ruin my surprise. Come, David. Quickly, David. Where's a convenient bush, David? Run, David. Run, David. If he turns this way, we'll get him. It's not the best bush. And David's aerial, he's dropping his radio. Oh, David, you're going to get us caught. This way, David. Go behind me, David. Further off the bush. Oh, away from me, David. You're going to give me away, David. Go away, David. I don't think this is going to be as successful as the last time. Although he is talking a lot, so he might not be concentrating. Has he spotted you? Ah, he went the other way. Darn it. It was worth the try. Oh, James Henry doesn't know how lucky he was. He was about to get a charging beast out of the Pultiforum thickets. So that was very, very close. Hopefully he finds some tracks for us to follow there. Just listening again carefully. The only thing I could really hear making a lot of noise last night, there were some hippos fighting down towards Twin Dams, but I'm sure that's probably calmed down. They've headed back towards the water. It is very still this morning. Not even a breath of wind, or the tiniest breath of wind if we look at some of the grass. The tiniest little breath of wind. Well, who knows? James is in the area. We might be able to catch him at another point, and we'll be listening for that of Rusty coming closer. But in the meantime, let's send you back to the little chief on quarantine.
The golden eye boy in the golden morning light. Absolutely spectacular. Seb and I are both cringing at the fact that we don't have decent cameras to be able to capture him. But we also have given him some space. The two vehicles that are with us, we've given him many, many meters of room so as not to show his presence off to the lurking Impala in and around. And hopefully he's going to make more of a movement soon as he sums up where the fighting's coming from. It seems as if since the sun has risen, the Impala have just stopped their fighting, which is to me quite strange. The ones that I can see around the area are all with their heads down feeding, so maybe there's a little truce has been sort of administered. Where is he off to? I don't see anything that way. Maybe he's going to try around the back loop. These cats see things that we can't perceive sometimes. We will stay with him though, folks, and remember this is 100% live. Watch when he comes to the road. Look how low he can walk. Incredible. He's trying to remain undetected. Oh, there we go. It's hard work walking like that. You need to stretch it out. Just going to stay here for the minute, Seb. We can move at any stage. What has he spotted? Maybe he's going to try to sneak around to where all the females are waiting. He's headed in that sort of direction. He's going to go right next to the vehicle there, looking at those people. Aren't they getting amazing shots? This is Djuma in the Sabi Sands, where this kind of thing with leopards is very, very common. Okay, it's time to move. Sebastian, he goes past the other car. If I can get my engine started. He's doing exactly what you said, Seb. Seb said he'd go to that termite mound. And has he? There he is. He hasn't quite gotten to the termite mound, but he is. Oh, there we go. He's about to go onto the termite mound. He's using it as cover. He is a very impressive leopard. And now he's just on top of the termite mound, scanning around the side to see what he can see. I can't see very clearly. There's lots of light. The sun is directly in our eyes. Yeah. Some female Impala in the distance there. Might be an easier meal for him, but they're far more alert than these male Impala at the moment. Wow. Look at that shot. Although seeing leopards in the Sabi sands is quite common here, this is always so special. Very, very special. To be able to get these shots and to spend time with these cats. Remember, folks, we have no idea what could happen next. It's 100% live. Mr. Public want to know about his age. Well, he's 2 years and 2 months, so I'd call him a young leopard or sub-adult. Either one is the same thing. But he probably won't start mating until at least 3.5, although it is possible he might before that. But, you know, in the books, leopards don't mate before 3.5. So he's still got some months to go before he's a dominant sort of size. He's still got a lot of growing to do. Still got a lot of adolescence in him. But what we are seeing more and more, Mr. Public, is his patience. Haven't seen him hunt in some time, and I think it's about time he did something right here for us, live. He is one of our favorite characters. He is the star of the show most weeks. But pound for pound, Leopard is the strongest cat, and he is phenomenally agile. There was some shots of him climbing a marula last week, which were phenomenal. How quickly and easily he's able to do that. And Leopard's able to do that with a fully grown Impala in their jaws. So, I haven't seen him with the male Impala myself, but today might be the day. He's been listening to them all night long. Who knows if he's been trying to hunt. The full moon was the night before, so the moon is very bright still, so there's lots of light out here. Makes stalking and hunting for a stealthy predator like this very difficult. But as the days and nights continue, the moon gets lesser and lesser, and it will start being dark, and the Impala will still be running around roaring their gurgling cry as they try to compete for the ladies. Well, let's quickly go over to Bushwalk. It sounds exciting.
Okay, we've just had a brief visual of Tandy on foot. Unfortunately, she moved off a little bit, so what I'm going to try to do is get us a visual from a bit of distance. Tandy isn't the most relaxed leopard on foot, but what we can hopefully do is get James in there, and he should be able to find her in the car. So we should see her from around here. She moved just on the opposite side of this little river. Okay, so let's have a quick look from here. Now, normally when you spot a leopard like Thandi on foot, she'll move off not too far before stopping. So let's call James. He shouldn't be too far. So she disappeared So you see those two dead trees, Dave? Just behind those two dead trees was the last place I saw her. Just keep moving slowly opposite her. So what we've done is immediately given her space as not to disturb her, and also give James a chance to get in here if I get a chance to talk on the radio. James coming. James, we've located Tandy on foot in between Weaver's Nest and Jigga Road. She's on the northeastern side. If you come down Jigga, there's the old pump house. She was just to the east of that.
Okay, copy that, thank you.
Okay, so James is on the way. Rex has spotted her. Ah, there we go. Okay, come here. If you come down, just to the right of the dead tree, you can see her tail. Come to where I am. Yeah. There we go. So there we go. You see it? Isn't this exciting? Leopard on foot. So unfortunately, if we try and move any closer to her, she's probably going to move off. I can hear James is very close by. I'm pretty sure Tlalamba is here as well. So that's why we immediately moved away from the edge of the river. We don't want to push her. There we go. James is coming past. So directly opposite us there's a dead tree. She's at the base of that tree. Yeah, up here. Okay, James is almost there. Isn't this exciting? So there's James going through behind me. So he's going to go down there. Okay, we're going to just stay here in case she moves off in a different direction. In the meantime, we're going to send you across to James as he tries to get a view of Tandy.
Well, if you can't make your own luck, it's best to ride off the luck of others, and that's what we're doing now. Just trying to get into a position where we can see her. This is where we were walking around yesterday evening. I'm not sure if you remember, everybody. And so Rexon's guess that she was around here was absolutely correct. We just have to do a little bit of a circuitous route around to where she is. This is very exciting. I haven't spent any time with her or her daughter over the last little while. Okay, let's go back to Hosana, who now is apparently back on the trail of some Impalas.
Well, it seems like it's a leopard morning, folks. And a male Impala chased all of his ladies out from the thickets there into the open. And they started coming very, very close to the termite mound where Hosana is sitting. And then he herded them back again. So now they've gone back towards the right. So they were getting very close. So what we thought was imminent danger for a female Impala has now turned out to be not so much, as the male herded them all back into his little territory. How marvelous is that Brent was able to find Tandy. It's not to be undone. Okay, we make it a cat trifecta this morning with Tlalamba as well. Okay, well, it seems like James is imminently about to find that leopardess. Let's go to him.
Sorry, I'm stuck now, everybody, I'm afraid. And on a nasty slope. Let's just see if I can get a little bit forward. Okay, I'm going to go back quite quickly. We're in a big hole here. Let's go back to Steve and Hosana, everybody, sorry.
It seems like James is in a hole, like I was this week. So, both of us stuck in a hole. Let me know, Kirst, if he needs assistance there. Hopefully he manages to get out so we don't lose any time with Hosana. Just say, I'll repay the favour. Where's assistance? There's a vehicle. The Impalas are all on the other side. There they are. They're not very alert. Kind of unknowing that there's a leopard 30, 40 yards from where they are grazing. YouTube viewer, Tandy's not far from where we are. I mean, we're in quarantine. I'd say they're maybe a kilometre at the most from where we are right now. I'll get the map out for you in a moment and show you exactly whereabouts I heard they are in relation to us. And here we go. Okay, so we are right here, right over there, and they have found Tandy. Where? Jigga track isn't on here. Over here, there's a road that goes through. No, there we go. So, there we go. 2 inches on the map. She's over here. There's a new road that goes through here. So, and we're just there. So very, very close. Not far at all. And maybe we will see into action with the two of them a bit later. Back to the golden-eyed boy. This is where patience will pay off. He takes his time, doesn't reveal himself. See how he's moving his body to be poised. He's also making himself more comfortable so that he can spring into action at any moment. Amazing that he can just sit here on this termite mound and be completely unobserved. That's the thing with this time of year, is the Impala don't know if the alarm calls are for leopards or the male is rutting. So there's quite a confusion even between some of the guides. They think a lot of alarm calls going on at the moment. They think surely there must be something. That was my thought as well, but we just followed up on Seb's instincts, and look how fortunate we were. It's a beautiful morning. The sun is really warming up everything quite quickly. Pangolin, that's a very good question. I don't know. Animals have instinct to look, not to look at the sun. I mean, it makes sense. It hurts to look at the sun. So I don't know if that's an instinct or just, ow, don't do that again. A learned response that you learn not to do a second time. Interestingly enough, the black eagle, what's he doing? He's having a look. The Impala are still quite far off, but he's being very patient. They might slowly start moving in this direction. They kind of seem to have that intention. They're just blocked at the moment by this other vehicle, but they are slowly moving towards the termite mound. So let's stay with this. There's a couple of youngsters there. That would be the easiest prey for him to take down. I'm going to stay just on him. I'll keep Sep updated with regards to the movement of the Impala. Let's just see what he does. It seems like the bushwalk team is giving James some assistance. It seems following Tandy these days often ends up with the vehicle stuck in a hole. That's fantastic. But Dave can still see Tandy, so none of the antics going on there seems to have frightened her away. As Hosana relaxes again, those Impala are just inching this way. They're not quite sure what's going on. You can see a couple of them, I think. There they are. Not too far away. Oh, he's making a move this side, Seb. Sarah, I don't think Hosana is a threat to Tandy's cub. She's her surrogate mother, so I think he knows her very well. I'm sure he might steal food from her, but I don't think there's any need to kill her cub, because he doesn't really need to mate at the moment. But then I don't know. I mean, I don't think this young gentleman here, Hosana, has read the book on leopards. He's doing a lot of things his own way. But what he's doing now is perfect by the book Leopard Strategy, as we've seen Hukumuri doing, stalking on top of termite mounds. We've seen Tamba doing it. We've seen Hosana many times moving from termite mound to termite mound as he scans for his easy prey. And this is where the experience of a cat comes in. Does he have the patience to allow those Impala to inch ever closer, or does he give himself away? This is such a fantastic start to the morning. Definitely going to save on petrol costs today, Seb. James is not too far away, so he hasn't driven very far. We haven't driven far at all. We could have walked here very quickly. Now, it appears as if they're all still stuck in the hole. Kirst is saying it looks quite comical with everybody trying to push. Shame. Isn't that just an amazing landscape shot? The Impala seem to think there's something. They're looking at a different direction though. They're not looking at the termite mound itself. They're listening to the multitudes of male Impalas calling. And the alarm call, part of the rut, seems to be indicating something. And so these Impala are out in the open. Some of them are busy ruminating as they stare into the distance for any sign of something dangerous. How patient can you be, young sir? He knows it's all within his grasp if he just waits. Take a little cat nap, why don't you? I'm not sure if anybody out there needs to go make themselves a quick cup of coffee, but I wouldn't go anywhere if I were you. Anything could happen at the moment. We could actually get Jared from FC to come and bring us a cup of coffee, Seb. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't mind walking 100 meters over the quarantine and past a stalking leopard. Kirst has just suggested hot chocolate with marshmallows. Maybe we could bring one for Hosana as well. It's not a very cold morning, but that does sound delicious. Do we have marshmallows? I don't think we do. Jared's offering to bring a steak on a plate. No, I don't think Hosana is up to that sort of standard of using plates, Jared. He likes trees, though. He likes sort of more wooded plates, like a marula fork or something. I've yet to see him in a... Oh, I have. I've seen him with a young kudu off a vulture's nest in January with a VM. It's the only time I've seen him. Oh, hang on. I do lie. I've seen him with a male Impala down in, with Dave. We were down in Chitwa, the base of the airstrip. Had an amazing sighting with him up in this enormous marula tree. I think it was a male impala, if I recall correctly. The lapwings flying overhead. Bobby, yeah, obviously, ideally, if the sun was in the impala's eyes, that would make life easy. But this is the way it is, and the leopard is opportunistic and will do what he needs to do opportunistically. Male impala is still trying to herd these females. He's got them all in a very tight-knit group. You can't see them all too clearly because this vehicle is in the way, but that's not a problem. If he pushes them any further this way, they might all start running past the termite mound, and that might be the opportunity he's waiting for. Chaos in the ranks is often highly taken advantage on by leopards. Wait for the herd to scatter, and then pick one out as they come as close to you as possible, without extending or expending too much energy. You can see he's conserving it, listening to the movements. No doubt he can hear the impala moving around on the other side of the termite mound, and he's just waiting for their footfalls to get a little bit closer, and he'll immediately jump into action. The best thing for him now to do is to remain concealed. There they are. They're still a very tight-knit group. KBS, the impala have got no reason not to move in this direction, even with the vehicles here. We're not blocking or hindering them in any way. They don't fear us. They've seen us many, many times. And they just move in response to the male and in response to their needs to feed. Maybe they want to go down somewhere to drink. It all depends on what their mindset is on about. The male impala is busy herding them into a tight-knit group. He wants to mate with as many of them as he can in a very short space of time, so that is his objective. And quite often one impala breaks the ranks just to get out of the little close circle, and it can cause the entire herd to follow, and that is what he's waiting for. There's a little bit of wind coming from our left. From the left hand side there's a little bit of wind. You can see the grasses just above his head. They're moving towards the impala, but at the moment his scent is not wafting in their direction. And what I have noticed with impala, when they do run, they often run into the wind as a means of sort of safety. And if they do run into the wind, they're going to run right past this termite mound, and that will be his opportunity. So Chris has just given me an update. It appears the bushwalk team is yet to hoist James out of his hole. Now, still trying though. It must be a marvelous hole if they can't get him out. Apparently it's equivalent to the Great Hole of Kimberley. I don't know if you can hear that male impala. He's calling off the direction Hosana's looking now. Really beautiful sound, male impala rutting. I'm only joking. It's not. It does not feel or seem like an antelope when you hear it the first time. Long drawn out nasal snorts. Sarah, yeah, the impala see us as termite mound, or just as an object that seems to move around and has got just a smell. And yeah, they do get quite close. Animals get very used to the vehicles. We don't hunt from the cars. We don't chase the animals with the cars. We don't feed anything with the cars. So they've just learnt that this noisy green machine that seems to be all over the place doesn't serve any purpose other than just an obstacle to walk around. I remember when Singita first moved into the Kruger Park, all of the animals used to run from the vehicles as they arrived, because they had not seen cars before. But slowly over time they get used to it. As I said, it's all about a reinforcement. If a negative reinforcement follows something, an animal learns to avoid it. But if it's a positive reinforcement, there's no negative reinforcement at all, then they just learn to accept what is and to go with the flow. He's a bit torn between what to do, because there's some rutting Impala to the left that would be ideal candidates for him. They're far less alert than those females. Those females have all got their heads up. A tight-knit group, that's the benefit of being in a herd, as you can spot anything coming close. Yes, indeed, Cheeky Geeky Beth, it is very important for them to stay in that circle, that sort of accumulated group there, because ideally what they're trying to do is remain in the middle, so that you're not on the outside. And then when one runs, everyone runs, and they all try to outcompete the others. No one wants to be left behind, and no one wants to look weak. And when you have that many eyes and ears, the chances of being snuck up on is very difficult. Very difficult. But he's now trying to make up his mind. Do I go for these ladies who are easier to kill, not as easy to catch because they're paying attention, or do I wait for some more male impalas to lose their concentration while dueling? You can see him calculating, trying to figure out what's going to be best. Okay, well, the impala are now moving, as I suggested, but not in the exact direction we wanted. They are coming towards the mound, a little bit more to the right where this vehicle is, so he's going to listen to them and see if he can hear where they come. See his body language, intention is very clear. This is very exciting. The anticipation of this is magnificent. Doesn't know which way to go. At least he's being very patient. When I first got here in January, he would have spoiled this already long time ago. He was way too casual, way too nonchalant, as a youngster normally is. And when the youngster eventually learns that that kind of behavior leads to one going hungry, and so his patience as he becomes an older cat is definitely improving just in the last 3 months, 4 months already. Well, it seems like the salvage team has managed to rescue James Hendry. So let's go over and find out what went on there.
Shh, don't mention it to James. Yes, but these are the tracks that we followed to find Tandy. In there, I think we just heard she might be on a kill. I'm not sure what we heard, but it sounded like almost plucking of fur. As I say, we don't want to disturb her too much. She doesn't like being walked on foot as much as something like Hosana. I just want to have a quick look from here, see if we can see anything in one of those trees. So it's somewhere in the thickets down here. We're just waiting a little bit away. And when we see James, he's going to try from the other side this time. See if we can get him in there. But it's always good to start off your walk with a leopard. We hadn't gone far. We're less than 1 kilometer from camp before we found her. Now, as the crow flies between her and Hosana is also very close, about 800 meters. But joy to the world. And hopefully it'll improve Mr. Henry's day, because he's found Tandy.
Yes, here we are with Tandy, and my foul mood is now slowly starting to improve. Only I could have managed to get stuck where we did. It was a catastrophic driving effort on my part. Anyway, here we are, thankfully, with Tandy. We'd obviously driven past her before. I actually didn't see her there, naturally enough, as my morning goes. David spotted her, and because he's so polite, he didn't say, "James, you idiot, there she is, straight in front of you." He went, "Oh, there she is." Which was very nice of him. Okay, let's go back and look at the leopard. Now, I don't know if she has got a kill. She's got the sort of posture that indicates she may well have a kill, as Brent suggested. And perhaps also the little one is somewhere around here. Certainly the little one's tracks are around. So this is Tandy, for those of you who have never met her before. She is an 11-year-old Leopardess. She's got a cub called Tlalamba, born in November last year. And right now she seems deeply at rest, despite the fact that I made an enormous noise the other side, revving the engine, saying bad words that begin with letters I can't even tell you. Yes, I think the little one is just off to the left-hand side of where we are. I think that's why those birds and squirrels are going crazy. There we are. Deborah, you say you think that you thought I'd scare her with the spinning wheels. No, I don't think I'd scare her. They're used to that, you know. And Pahuma, perhaps you're correct. Perhaps it's my hat that's the problem. You say if I get a new hat, my luck will change. Well, I shall do my best in the next little while. Yeah, there's definitely some squirrel activity here. It's definitely going to be worth sitting and waiting right where we are. I don't know if she has got a kill. I feel like she might actually be eating if she had a kill. But the birds have now spotted her, and that's why her ears have gone back, and I think she might move. Either that or they've spotted something else. And I think she's quite aware of that. Now, I wouldn't describe our friend Tandy as the most cheerful leopardess I've ever met. She can get quite ornery. And you can see the way she looks at you, as though she has got sort of bifocal librarian's spectacles on, looking over the top of them at you with a fairly disdainful look. Yes, the squirrels are going crazy next to us, so I think you'll find it is the cub. Certainly Tandy thinks there's something there. And we're often asked about whether or not these animals are able to talk with each other. Can they understand each other? She is understanding the language of the squirrels there. She can hear that they're alarm calling at something, and that the francolins are also alarm calling. She knows what that means. She knows it means predator. Now, David, if you do spot the cub, you must feel free to slap me on the back of the head and say, "There, idiot." Now, we can't hear any francolins at the moment. It's largely squirrels, and the bushwalkers now will be retreating because they will know that on foot, obviously, the predators would move away from them. And if we were to hear the squawking of a francolin, Lisa, yes, it could be possible that that the bushwalk had startled the francolins, but they don't alarm call at them, no. They tend not to alarm call at human beings unless you've given them a real fright. Oh, and here comes the light. That's fantastic. She's so beautifully hidden in there. Just, can you zoom out a bit, Vim? Just show us how impossible she'd be to see. Look at that. It's a leopard less than 20 meters in front of us. Completely invisible. Let me just see if I can't spot the cub. Come on, cub, please come this way. I haven't seen you for so long. Every time I look up, I have to try and re-find Tandy because she's so well hidden in the shadows there. Squirrels are still going. Quack, 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 quack. Now, of course, Thandi's main modus operandi is to maintain the safety of her cub. So, Leopard Girl, I'm not really sure where your question about whether or not she'd kill her cub comes from. I think it would be highly, highly unlikely that she would kill her cub. If you could perhaps explain why you think that might happen, I could give you more of an answer, but I can't see a reason for that to happen at all. Now there's just territorial calling coming from the Franklins, but there are now also some helmet shrikes having a go down where the squirrels are. Alright, I'm not going to go anywhere from here. We'll wait and see what happens. But Hosana is still glorying in the morning.
Yes, he is. He's still here. The male Impala is getting more and more antsy, and the herd of Impala is being pushed inches closer. There's the man. All he's got on his mind is the females that he keeps herding in his imaginary circle. You see that roaring that he does there? Aimed at obviously communicating himself, his intention, but that roaring actually stimulates the ovulation in the females. And he basically will walk in circles around this group, keeping them in. And he'll forget to eat. He'll forget to do absolutely everything. And that is why they lose condition. I mean, I saw him before. There are some younger males that are just standing on the outside. Romatius, a person was killed many years ago by a bushbuck. He cornered the bushbuck, and the bushbuck got a very sharp horn, disemboweled him, and it probably could have been a wound. He could have survived, but I think the isolation of the area led to that person dying. I believe sable have killed people before, and a lady was killed last year or the year before by a giraffe. I think she got too close to it and it kicked her. They are very powerful animals, even an Impala. If an Impala is running full speed and it hits you, you will come off second best, I promise. But I'm sure there's a number of other cases. Black wildebeest are very territorial. It's not the blue wildebeest we get to. The black wildebeest occurs more sort of in the Highveld. And a few years ago, there was black wildebeest in sort of like a small farm-like environment. And this lady went inside and she got attacked. And her dad and brother went to help her against the black wildebeest, and it ended up killing all three of them. So wild animals are wild, and when it comes to territory, and it comes to what they feel is their space, you need to understand that. Obviously, being out here in the wild, the chances of an antelope, if you just go about your normal business, of it cornering you or you cornering it, is pretty unlikely. But when it comes to fences and maybe small camps, that male black wildebeest had obviously sort of entrenched himself in that sort of small encampment, and that was his territory, and the people coming in were intruders. And when you weigh 300 kilograms, 600 pounds, and you decide to have issue with someone, you're going to win. If you have issue with a human and you weigh that much, you're going to win. Okay, well, the Impala are very unaware of him here. I mean, they're slowly inching closer and closer to us. This is such a nice dramatic way to start this Tuesday morning, the first day of May, is it not? Oh, 1st of May. Happy May Day, everybody. They are beautiful antelope, though. You see them chewing the cud. I think they know that something's going on, but they don't know what. Okay, well, the Impala's staring back at us and we're staring at them. Let's go to James, who's having an eye contest with Tandy.
We are having an eye contest with her. Every time one of us moves on the back of this car, she looks here. It's either at Wiem, or perhaps it's because she's meeting David for the first time. Oh, she's going to give us a beautiful view of herself. Wonderful. Thank you, Tandy. No wonder we missed you the first time we drove past here. We did drive past here, and just after our first segment, actually. And, well, I don't feel too ashamed that we didn't see her in there, if that's where she was. Still the squirrels going ballistic. And they're not dying down a huge amount. But Mr. Public, one would expect them to if the leopards were just resting. Yes, absolutely. One would absolutely expect them eventually to give up and carry on with their days, the squirrels, I mean. Otherwise, they would waste an enormous amount of energy, and she's very clearly at rest where she is there. It might be worth us just doing a little turnaround to see if we can't find the youngster, because that view of Tandy is not the best one that we've ever had. Shall we do that, Vim? Are you keen? Alright, let's just move around. Let's just remember this area as well. Now, when we started following her yesterday, it was in this area, and I was surprised from it, because she was a good, I don't know, she must have been a good, shall we say, kilometre as the crow flies away from where she was the night before, which was surprising, I thought. So I suspect the hyena activity that there was in that area made her a bit skittish and made her want to get her little baby out of there, which is what she did. We're in the heart of Karula's old territory now, of course. And there's absolutely no pressure in this particular area from any other leopard, but I suspect somewhere around here, the border between Shidulu and Tandy will form. Now, there's a nasty sort of gully in here that will be very difficult to get across. So we'll have to go around it, lest I get us into yet another hole. I'm having a fantastic hole morning. Right, I might need to call on Brent to come and help us. So while I do that, you go across to him and find out if he's willing to do that again.
Of course I'm willing to help you, James. It just gives me ammunition for days. No, of course we'll always help each other if we ever do get stuck. But yeah, no, it was quite unlucky. I had two wheels off the ground. It was amusing, but we've all been there. It's a good question, Laura Moore. What is the Djuma equivalent of the marshmallow pies? Well, it's quite hard to get stuck at Djuma, so we didn't really think of making one. Although, if I think about it, I've been stuck before, but I've never had to call for help. No, Jameson would have got out there. We just happened to be close by. That's why we helped. But I'm just trying to. But James has also been stuck in the Mawati after it rained. I'm trying to think. I got stuck on a stump following wild dogs. I had to jack the car up and then reverse off the stump. But it's quite difficult to get stuck here, especially in our vehicles, because they're quite light and they're quite short. But it does happen, and it's part and parcel of being out in the bush every day. It just goes to show that how little we get stuck compared to other vehicles. Well, it's very flat dung, but quite interesting dung nonetheless. Oh no, I don't know. I need a stick. There we go. You can see there's quite a lot of wood in it, and very specifically there's quite a lot of very orange wood, very red wood. So I would like you to tell me what animal has defecated this. Unfortunately, it has been driven over by a car. But the hint to what it is that very pinkish wood. You're seeing quite a lot of that pink wood pulp there. And if you look carefully, look, we got some. What is that? There's a bit of a. Looks like a seed. Sometimes you'll find little tiny bits of bone fragment in this animal's dung. But hashtag Safari Live, if you know what it is. It is an animal that avoids us often on the live drives here in the Sabi Sands. I don't think one has ever been seen on a live drive here in the Sabi Sands. But we saw them in the Mara a bit. Well done, consulting detective. Indeed, it is porcupine. And that reddish wood we're looking at there is tamboti. So one of the few animals that feeds regularly off tamboti. And that's what gives it that pinkish color. Okay, so our plan now is we think we're on a hot streak. So we're going to change gears, start walking a little bit quicker and head all the way to the western sections to see if we can pull another leopard out of the bag before the end of bushwalk. And in the meantime, let's send you back to the one who's been there since the beginning, Hosana.
Yes, indeed. Hopefully you can go to the west and find Shadulu, Brent. That would be awesome. I mean, it didn't take us long to find her yesterday when we put our minds to it. What a glorious morning walk we had yesterday, Rex and myself and the wildebeest. Another male Impala is coming in at the back there, Seb. There's going to be a confrontation. Is there? Yeah, they're going to chase each other around a little bit with their tails in the air. This is the opportunity Hosana needs. If the male is preoccupied, the females will start to wander. Raffaelli, obviously the African leopard is stronger than the Indian. No, I'm joking. I think they're equivalently the same. I don't know. I've heard that the Indian leopard doesn't necessarily hoist their kills. I think because of sort of a different competition they have there. But I don't know. I've actually got a friend who's working with leopards over there. He's guiding, and I'm really looking forward to going visiting him. One in India and one in Sri Lanka. I'd love to go see some tigers. To go and see the Indian leopard. But I think our leopards are stronger because they're our leopards. But they are just a subspecies. The Indian leopard is just a subspecies of this leopard. So very, very similar. But I wouldn't be able to tell you honestly who's stronger. Equivalently the same sort of size. So you would have to just assume same sort of strength as well. And yeah, the difference between leopards and jaguars, I think they're also very similar. I honestly don't know. I've never seen a jaguar, never spent any time with one, but they are also part of the Panthera genus, but they are not Pantheropardus like the leopard is, so there must be some differences, which I honestly can't tell you right now. I might turn my phone on in a moment and have a look at the old Google, but I have no doubt, in fact, that Brent Leo Smith will know the answer to that. What do you reckon, Kirst? Because I think he's seen one. I think he's seen all of them. Always. Brent will surely have the answer. So I don't know if you can hear these males running around rutting. This very loud gurgling sound. They're in the middle now. There he comes back. Isn't he glorious? So how much energy he's spending just to maintain these small territories for mating. And we're going to stay here, folks, and hopefully this guy herds these impala ever closer to this very patient leopard. Let's go over to Brent to see what the difference is between leopard and jaguar.
Well, hello. Welcome back. Well, I'm still searching for more leopards. I will definitely tell the difference between a leopard and a jaguar. We'll stick with the easy ones, the ones you can see. A leopard is much, much smaller than a jaguar. A big male jaguar is often quite well over 100 kilograms, so it's sort of closer to the size of a lioness, where some female jaguars can be as big as a male leopard, so much, much bigger. They're also, well, they're obviously pantheras, so they do come from the same common ancestor many millennia ago, and probably one of the most noticeable differences is in their behavior. And the jaguars are avid swimmers, and actually will rest in water, will hunt in water. They'll hunt caiman crocodiles in water. Leopard, on the other hand, are very tentative swimmers. They do cross water and they do swim when they have to, especially in areas like the Okavango Delta, the Sud swamp in Sudan, and of course in the great rainforests of Africa. But again, really, really tentatively will they swim, whereas jaguars don't even think twice. They also even just rest in the water when it's very hot. Jaguars, in terms of behavior, apart from the fact they're able to take bigger prey due to the bigger size and they hunt sometimes while swimming, they are behavioral-wise very similar in a lot of ways to a leopard in terms of their hunting tactics when not in the water, of course. But we'll continue this a little bit later because Tandy is up and on the move, and hopefully she's taking you to Tlalamba.
Yes, indeed, hopefully she is. She has just got up. We came back into this area. We went for a little drive, tried to find the cub, didn't find anything. And now Mother is on the move. I think she's stalking. Let me just move slightly. It's going to be very tricky following through here, but we will do our level best. Still got her there, Vim. You see her? Behind all the scrub. Just wait here. I can sneak forward. Well done, Vim. That is a gorgeous leopard shot. Now, some people will describe that as camouflage, which of course it isn't. It's called hiding. It's much less sophisticated than camouflage. The squirrels are still going. She hasn't. Oh no, that was a Franklin. She hasn't called the cub, and I haven't heard the cub call her. I'm just trying to smell if I can smell maybe some insides of kill, because the grass around where we saw her seems flattened, but that might just be because she was lying there. We can try and ease forward a little bit and see if we can't get a slightly better view. No, she's looking. Let's wait here. Now, what I can tell Alexis from her body language comes from my observation of her ears, observation of her stance. Is she standing up straight? Is she crouching down and hunching? The flick of her tail. I think we have a pretty good idea of what their body language means in a... we have a crude understanding, shall I say. I don't think we have anything like the understanding that they have of each other's body language. That said, they're not a social species, which means that their body language and the way they talk to each other will be much less sophisticated, I suspect, than it would be, say, amongst hyenas, which I think would talk to each other in a much more sophisticated manner because they have a much more social time. Likewise, lions, who are renowned to be intellectually rather dim-witted. If you think about training them, for example, they are obviously very sophisticated in the way that they communicate with body language, and possibly even without body language, some other way that we don't really understand when they're on the hunt. Shall we sneak just a little bit forward, Wimpy? Or are you happy there? Get a quick view of her around here. We'll try and figure out where she's going. In the meanwhile, you can go across to the other leopard we have today.
Yes, indeed, it is a very busy morning with cats, and another male impala has joined in and started herding this gentleman's flock, and they've gotten close and close and close to him, and we're hoping something's going to happen soon. They still seem to have absolutely no idea that he's here, and they are impala just on the other side of that termite mound, and this is where he's really showing some resolve. He's not showing himself. He's done a very good job up until this point. There's a really, really cold wind coming in. There's now gusting his sort of scent, sort of towards the impala, but maybe a little bit to the left of them, because they don't seem too alert to the ongoings. Do they know that leopards love termite mounds? It seems as if this morning they are completely oblivious to the fact. Heidi, the largest prey the leopard will go after is probably a nyala female, a kudu. We've had, it's probably a kudu, I would actually say. But then I've had a leopard many years ago with a female waterbuck up a tree, which to me is phenomenal. I think female waterbuck and a kudu are probably quite equivalent in size, but up a tree I found that unbelievable. It was a very, very big young male leopard back in those days, but he had no problems with larger prey. But then, they also can scavenge, so they can find dead animals. But when it comes to pulling down a prey animal, a leopard fully graduates to an adult when it's capable of pulling down a male impala. Females and youngsters are a lot easier, but a big male impala is a little bit bigger than the leopard himself in weight. And so once they can do that, they have graduated. But yeah, I think Ralph had a leopard up in the Mara with a young giraffe. So there we go. Even giraffe can fall prey to these guys opportunistically. Well, let's go back over to James, who's with another very special cat.
Alrighty, so she's moved. We've got into a decent position between two conveniently placed framing branches. You can see her there. She didn't call the cub. The squirrels are still kind of calling, but not much, and as Viams just pointed out, he said she's still got quite a belly on her. Absolutely she does. That steenbok which she ate was obviously a welcome meal, and so I think, as we predicted earlier on, she'd come down here in order to escape from the hyenas that sort of threatened her baby and threatened her in the wake of her steenbok kill the other night. I'm sorry about that branch, but there's not much I can do. Very sleepy. As I said, she hasn't called at all for the cub. She's just kind of walked around a bit. I think she's still very tired after her meal. And Carol, the cub probably won't call back. No, the cub would much more likely just come towards her if she called, but it could call. But normally what would happen, it would just bound out of the bush and come to see her, especially if it thought there was food in the offing. I often think to myself, I've been to various wildlife areas around the place, and nowhere else do you see leopards like you do here. A place like the Mara is a good example. There are definitely leopards there in concentrations as possibly as high as they are here. But because they haven't become the focus of attention like they have here, they go about their lives in a very secretive manner. And yes, there's been the odd individual, like that one shadow that was followed during the Big Cat Diaries. They knew lots about her life. And she was an anomaly, though, because, leopards just don't get the same attention, like I'm saying. And I think that because of that, we don't really understand nearly the extent of what they do in areas other than a place like the Sabi Sands up here. They are all over wildlife areas in South Africa, and mostly you have to have, there's such a tradition of finding them in the Sabi Sand, there's such a tradition of tracking them here, that our knowledge of them in this area is profoundly higher than it is in most other areas. And as soon as you start to concentrate on looking for them, dedicating, a year or two to getting a handle on the leopard population of an area, you start to understand just how many there are. And I know you were talking about the Indian leopard earlier with Steve. Now, I mean, that is a subspecies of the same animal. It is smaller than the African leopard, not by much, relatively similar size actually. But they are all over the place, and as Ralph came rushing into my room yesterday, and I knew this because I'd seen it, he said, "You know how many leopards there are living in Mumbai, in India?" And I mean, there are hundreds of leopards living around the vast, sprawling metropolis of Mumbai, eating domestic dogs and goats and pigs on a nightly basis. And if you haven't seen the astonishing footage that they got on BBC's Planet Earth 2, go and look at the shots they get of the leopards moving through the suburbs of Mumbai. It is quite something. So they really are everywhere once you start to look for them and know how to look for them. But they're extremely secretive, so it's not difficult for them to hide. You need great skills to be able to really get a handle on what's going on with them. Now, young Tlalamba is getting to the age, of course, that she will not spend all the time around here. She will spend possibly days, or the whole day around on her own. What do I mean by on her own? On her own, but within kind of eye or ear contact of the female. Siberia Zumi, I think you're right. The Sri Lankan leopard might be slightly larger than this one. But even in South Africa, we have the leopards of the Cape Fold Mountains are roughly half the size of these ones. She's heard something. She's calling now. There was just a little call there. Little chuff. And I know that you wouldn't have heard that even if you'd had the best microphone in the world, so I'm just explaining it to you. We don't have an ambient microphone at the moment because we have a small technical problem, so that's why the sounds aren't possibly quite as loud as you'd expect them to be. She's staring malevolently at Viam, which I think is a bit unfair. There, she's calling again. And again. There we go. Just while we wait there are 9 subspecies of the leopard, stretching from the Cape Fold Mountains in Cape Town all the way across to the far east of Russia, where we get the Amur leopard, into the Korean peninsula. I'm just trying to... The smallest is the Arabian leopard, with females weighing around 18 kilograms. I'm not drawing this from my memory. I'm reading it to you, everybody. I'm confessing to that. And the largest is a 91 kilogram Sri Lankan leopard and Persian leopard. And interestingly, apparently, those big leopards inhabit areas where there are no tigers. That's interesting. And obviously no lions either. Now, one of the questions we're asked most often is, do you get albinos of every animal we see, or black versions of every animal you see. And YouTube viewer, you do get black leopards. They're known as black panthers, and they are absolutely the same species as these. They're just black. They have a lot more melanin in them, and in the sun you can actually see the spots that they have. Mostly they're found in more forested areas, because obviously it's more useful to be a black cat there than it would be out here. They are found in South Africa. There's a little one. She gave her a big fright. Oh, hooray! Did you see what a fright she got? Oh, that's special. Hello. I haven't seen you for so long. Don't go into the grass now. Come out here. There's a nice pan just behind here, Tandy. It'd be great for both of you to go and have a drink. Sit at. Wait for the sun to come out. Oh, magic stuff. Isn't that magic? Absolute magic. Ah, hooray. Let's see if this little rebel tries to go up after her mother. I feel like I should know this, but does anybody have a spot pattern for Tlalamba yet? Vim, do you know what it is? Anybody know what Tlalamba's spot pattern is? Nobody? Anybody with an answer? It would be great, thank you. Feel free to answer at any stage. Now would be good. This leopard has never been particularly nimble in trees. I've watched her fall out of a lot when she was very little. I see her skills have not improved a great deal on that front. Kendra, you said 5'5". Okay, that's quite interesting. That's not common. Shidulu is 5'5", of course. Tandy is a 3'3". Come on, little one, come back. Go sit next to your mother there. And James Richard, thank you very much. You've confirmed it is 5'5". So that's cool. That's nice because it'll make her easy to recognize. Now the birds are starting to come out a bit more. Interestingly, the squirrels have shut up. Now I wonder if that's because they can see exactly where these cats are now, as opposed to being slightly confused about where they were, but knowing they were in the area. I'm reticent to move. Do you want me to go back slightly? Shall we see? I just think it's, yeah, she's going to keep moving slightly. Shall we try? Alright, we'll try and get a slightly better picture here. Leo Smythe, don't know where he is, don't know what he's doing. I'm sure he will ask you a question though.
I'm just taking in the smells of the African bush. Lovely wild basil. Yes, we are still heading towards the western sections, and we're hoping to pick up on tracks of Shidulu. Hokumuri, I think, is still on a kill, unfortunately, inside Sibambili. He was on a warthog kill in Arethusa. He finished it, walked 300 meters, and caught an adult male impala. So he is probably walking around like this at the moment. If he is walking anywhere, he's so fat. Now, we were chatting about the difference between jaguars and leopards, and as I said, behaviorally difference, and from an ecological niche, they fill quite a lot of the same areas in terms of what they hunt and whatnot, obviously with different species. But if you had to put a jaguar and a leopard side by side, Leopard are generally longer and much more slender and have a longer tail, whereas jaguars short, stocky, thick, heavy, but taller, but not as long, but much more muscular, and not nearly as good at tree climbing as our African leopards. Now, of course, the leopard is what you would call an old world cat, as it only occurs in the old world, which is Africa, Asia, India. And the jaguar is very much a new world cat. Oh, how did that happen? Thorn in my shoe. There we go, it's gone. Right, no, it's not. I have to stop here for a second. David, is that necessary? There we go. Sorry, Romit, I just need to get the thorn out of my shoe. I think I got it. Double check. Now, while I'm dealing with that, Romit, the worst prey for a leopard to hunt, would it be porcupine? I'd say it'd be a male lion, but I'm just joking, of course. Now, they do hunt porcupine. Often they do get wounded, but certain leopards will actually specialize in porcupine, particularly in areas like the Kalahari Desert, where prey availability isn't as diverse and as readily available as here. So in the Kalahari, the springbok and other small antelope move quite a lot with the rain, so they'll have summer and winter ranges. So during the time when those leopards don't have access to those big herds of animals, they will hunt lots of strange things: genets, porcupine, aardvark. But I'd say, yeah, the worst one for a leopard is probably a bush pig. Bush pig are very strong and got very sharp teeth. But in a lot of areas where a lot of other prey species have been removed, the leopards have had to learn how to hunt bush pigs. So, but of course, you could always just say an elephant. You couldn't be wrong. But no, I've never seen a leopard hunt an elephant. I've seen a leopard eat an elephant quite a few times on elephant carcasses. But I've never seen one hunt an elephant. Now, we've got this grey weather coming in from the east. It was so beautiful and clear early this morning. You can see I've got my jersey back on, as it seems to have got colder as the morning's gone on. But that's good for us, because hopefully the big cats are still going to be on the move. Now, speaking of a big little cat, let's go back to Hosana.
Well, Hosana is having what we would call a cat nap, and there is a front pulling in. It is really quite cold, coming in from the south. I don't know what is happening, but the weather has turned, and the wind is blowing. It is quite chilly, and Hosana has decided he is having a little nap. The Impala are still scattered behind him there. They're not in the same sort of tight-knit ball they were before. The male Impala are running around still with madness in their eyes and their brains, and Hosana is still being very patient, and we're hoping. I mean, the other vehicles have left. The action seemingly passed, but we have a very strong feeling that this young cat is not over yet. He's just waiting for that one Impala to get very casual and come a bit too closer. I spent some time in Singita years ago in the Kruger National Park with a little bit of a dry period, and yes, Nikki, most certainly Impala would be able to smell him, but the wind is coming across, sort of the way his body's facing. The wind is coming from behind him and towards his face, and that's blowing completely away from the Impala, which at the moment is quite good for him. But there were some dry water points it was very dry in Singita Kruger Park 2009, and we sat at the sort of remaining water point that was there, sort of like a pool in the river, and there was a lioness with her sister. Her sister had a broken shoulder, and there were two cubs that we could see. Two cubs, and she'd kind of she was like stalking Impala down by the water. And as the Impala would come down to the water in a group, she wouldn't move. But every now and again, one would be on its own and she would just smash it. And we saw her, we were there for about 2 hours, and we saw her kill 6 Impala, then drag it up the slope to where the cubs and the injured female were, and they just had way too much food. They had way too much food at the time. But as the Impala came down as a group, she ignored them, and when they came down alone, she sprinted out. It was quite incredible to see. So she was a very patient female, and she got way more food than she needed. But those Impala were forced to come there because of the drinking. They almost forget about the dangers. Have you ever heard that saying, "I'm so thirsty I could kill"? Well, or be killed, I suppose. The Impala was so thirsty they were willing to put themselves at risk. But those that were patient enough and came down as a group were spared. And those impatient individuals that split from the herd fell victim. So the more eyes and ears you have, the better chance you have got of staying alive. Studies with peregrine falcons and doves, where they had a tame peregrine, and they would basically start off with one dove. They would release the peregrine from 100 meters, and they counted how many minutes or how many seconds it took for the dove to notice the bird, and the seconds decreased in time as the number of doves that they put in the sample plot increased. So obviously the first dove on its own got smashed, the second one maybe also, and then as they got 3, 4, 5, 6 doves, the more doves there were, the sooner they spotted the peregrine as it was released from its standard sort of release point, and the more there were, the less chance there was of the peregrine making a successful kill. So that is a very well documented study, and that's why predators, or why herd animals stay out together in numbers, because of that exact fact. If you're on your own, you are liable to be caught with your head down, and that is what the leopards are looking for. The unaware group. But this group is still around, and we are hoping to see something. Most of them have moved off, probably in search of water. They've headed down towards Voyatela Dam there. They've probably been hanging around in this area all night, and now that the light is here and they're feeling a bit safer, it's time to head down for a drink. But here comes a male Impala into the fray. He's clearly the territorial holder as he chases that other male very easily out of the way. Donna, it's hard to say what the average size is, but bear in mind the groups that he's herding, a lot of them are young males and young females that were born in November, so they won't be mating that I'm aware of. Obviously the young males won't be, but he doesn't really recognize them as males yet because their horns have just started to appear. So 50% of an Impala population is generally female, 50% male. So if you had to work out in the breeding herd that he has, if 50% of the young males and females you can take out of the equation. My maths is going to get very complicated now. So it's probably only about 25, maybe 40%, 50% of the females in the herd that he's got are reproductive. So he could have a herd of 100 and only 50 of them are actually being serviced by him. But first he needs to keep them in the area. Then he needs to test their urine, and then he needs to mate with them without any of them sneaking away and without another male sneaking in the back door, which is what happens all the time. As soon as they are busy on one side of the circle, a male sneaks in from the left, then he chases that male out, a male sneaks in from the right. So in the herd that he is honestly trying to keep in, he probably only services a very small number of them before they move on to the next sort of area or the next male's territory. But majority of them will be serviced within the month. You see this, he got his head on the floor there. You can see the female on the left here was just having a bit of a toilet break. There's probably a very good chance he's going to go and sniff that. And if we look at him now, he's lifting his head. Is he doing the Jacobson response? You had, yeah, straight up there, Seb. There he is. Quickling, James.
No. Look what we've got. They're out and having a drink. Just what we wanted. We have done some serious driving to get to exactly the same place where we began this morning. Anyway, here we are. Very happy to have both mother and daughter having a cappuccino in the morning. It's very nice to see that young and old are still friendly together and able to enjoy a morning beverage. Just fantastic. And look how lovely the golden colours are with the sort of grey soil behind. Oh. This is deeply pleasing to me, everybody. Now don't go back in there. No, you see, she wants some of her mother's milkshake now. Or doesn't like to have little wet feet. She's quite a princess, our rebel. I suppose she is the princess, really. This is the new queen, really. I suppose we should come to acknowledge Tandy as the new queen. All leopard cubs, of course, have got different personalities. And you do, because we spend so much time around them, we really do see their different personalities. Oh, that's fantastic. Romit, so yes, I mean, some leopard cubs are more playful than others, and I'm trying to think who was the most playful I've ever seen. This one is pretty playful. They're all kind of playful at various stages. I suppose Tlalamba is one of the top. I seem to remember Hosana being pretty playful. I don't know if I know of one that was necessarily more playful than the other. Now what I mean by that is I don't know if I can pick out one that is the most playful. I've definitely known some that haven't been particularly playful. There they are. Just going into some lovely, thick, impossible bush. Fantastic. Are we so lucky to have had that sighting of them, everybody? We really hoped that that's what we'd get. I remain slightly astounded that her brother, Hosana, much younger brother, hasn't managed to kill himself something amongst all of those impala. He had the whole night last night. Maybe because it's the full moon. You see the little one anywhere of him? Just Mum. The little one will be in here somewhere, about to pounce on her mother, no doubt. There they go, back into the thick... Oh, there we go. There we are. This one is certainly... I've never seen... I don't think I can remember a time when I've seen a leopard cub give her mother so many shocks before. Now, we're constantly having to battle the decision over whether to go across this... There they are. Across this donga, or to stay this side. Anyway, while we make those decisions, Hosana has finally made a decision that he probably wants some breakfast.
He does want breakfast. He's suddenly gone very flat. We don't know what he's looking at. The majority of those impala that were there have moved off. So he's repositioning himself. He's very flat on the termite mound. And there he goes back into slumber. I'm not sure what he spotted. He's now looking very regal. He might have just moved himself around so he's not visible to the Impala that had moved around the other side from a distance. Maybe feel their eyes on him. There we go, back to normal behavior. Matt, the size of the termite mound there, people reckon the size of maybe a rugby ball, maybe you could compare it to a soccer ball in size. It takes about 7 years to produce. So a mound like that has probably taken many, many years. Been in this area probably for 50 years, 100 years, 150 years, who knows. They can get sort of dormant and then reoccupied again. There was a human settlement here for a long time, and there are some really big termite mounds in the open. And I know that the locals actually used to sort of harvest a lot of the termite mound sort of soil to make their huts, because it made very good sort of plaster, very good sort of cement for their walls. So even though we've got a lot of big termite mounds here, I'm sure a lot of them were still even excavated to a degree. So they're probably smaller than they would have been if they were left alone. Just people making do or use of the local resources if you lived out here. Oh, monkeys have spotted him. Hear the monkeys in the distance. When he's been spotted, then he's got to leave. Sorry about my head in the vehicle. There he goes, slinking through the grass. What a beautiful boy. Don't know if you can hear the monkeys in the distance. I can't even see them. But we're going to stay with him. They're in the trees far away over there. Let's stay with the little chief. As he skulks away. Sorry about that. We've been sitting idle for too long. The car's very cold. Okay, well, while we follow this beautiful cat as he merges with the vegetation, let's go over to James and see what him and Tandy are up to.
She's just become quite irritated with us. She's started that little hissing thing that she does from time to time, so we've just backed off a bit. Not sure why she's behaving like that. Not sure what. Look at that, you see that? Now, I mean, I'm parked a good 40 meters from her now. What I have done though is I've turned the car around so that I'm facing her. And basically she can see in the closed door of the vehicle, and I wonder if the sight of my legs, and I don't mean this facetiously, I don't mean I have particularly offensive legs. They're a bit hairy, but I don't think they're particularly offensive. But I wonder if she's not seeing more human than she wants to. Because there's no door, of course, on this side of the vehicle. So when we're parked the other way, all she can see is my head sort of sticking up above, and VM and David in the back. But suddenly her attitude has changed. So we've had to back right off. She's a funny leopard. If there is an unpredictable nature out here, it's hers. Although she does give an indication, and I think that a lot of the time we've missed the body language that she's shown to us. I think she does indicate when she's not happy. She folds her legs, her ears down like that, and she looks again, and then she will start this hissing. And sometimes you can just tell, when you drive up to a cat like this, they look at you in a certain way. It's not like there's a different expression or a growl or bared canines. It's just a different expression. And she gives that expression a lot. The cub is around here, and it's almost as if, as this weather has started to get darker, there's a really thick bank of grey cloud coming over us now. The wind's coming up, and it's as this has happened that she's kind of started to get much less pleasant about having us around. The cub is just next to her YouTube viewer. We saw her in there, so she's not closer to the vehicle than we are. Closer to the vehicle than we are. No, we're in the vehicle. She's not closer to the vehicle than Tandy is. You hear the birds have stopped calling? There's just one lone feathered creature going nearby. I don't even know what it is. I think it's a drongo. Otherwise things have got very quiet. Oh, don't go down in there, please. Driving in there is going to be something of a challenge again. Anyway, we will try. We will keep trying. We will keep trying. Alrighty, I think Brent is probably sticking to much more open areas as the wind comes up. Let's go and find out if he's put a tablecloth around him to stave off the wind, not steve off the wind.
Well, at the moment we're not so worried about the wind as about the rain that is suddenly starting to encroach from the southeast. So when we're on top of the ridge there, we could actually see the rain falling on Chitwa. So what we're doing is we're going to try, we're still keeping to our plan. We're heading southwest at the moment, and then we're going to get onto Mendoza Road. Is Mendoza Road? Yes. And then we're going to go straight north along there, straight northwest, see if Shidulu might have popped back in if she was unsuccessful in hunting in the west. So it's a bit worrying, that weather that's coming in behind us. It's coming in quite quickly. You can almost taste the moisture in the air. Can you feel a little bit of rain? I can also feel a little bit of rain all of a sudden. Okay, Dave, let's move. If it starts raining too hard, what we'll do is we'll get Jared to get wet and come fetch us and take us to the tent. Rex has found something up ahead. Now, Carol, yes, certain animals can get a bit freaked out by storms. You can see it in their behavior, particularly elephants. Oh, the rain's starting to fall harder. I think that's what Rex was telling me. Or he could have been saying elephants. I couldn't hear. It was from quite far away. Oh, rain. He's using up the rain cover for Dave. I think it's getting quite hard. Okay, this is getting quite hard for us. For the bushwalk, so I'm just going to get the cover from Rex and put it over all the electronic equipment at the back. But I think we might be needing a lift to go into the tent. Because obviously the bushwalk is quite sensitive, and we don't want it to go and then shock David to death. That would be tragic, wouldn't it, David? Okay, we're going to send you, while I fight with the rain cover, let's send you back to Steve and Hosana.
Yes, well, we're following him through the vegetation here, and we're hoping it doesn't rain, but it does certainly look like it in the distance. Watch out there, Seb. We've got a few branches. Well, James is probably going to head back and get his cover on. Seeing as Hosana's moving, we're going to try to stay with him as long as we can. We can put some rain protection on ourselves shortly. Oof. Yeah, I can feel it in the air. We're going to have to stop shortly ourselves to mount a couple of covers on our important elements. Yeah, here it's coming, Kirst. Yeah, I think we need to do it. Okay, folks, we're just going to go to Tech Loop for a few minutes while we get all our things in order. Don't worry, we'll let you know anything happens.